Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara. We talk about TV shows here. The year is 2021 and the name of the show is Babylon 5. This is season 2, episode 22. It is the season 2 finale. It is called The Fall of Night. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So yeah, big stuff. We get to end a season and we get to talk about some big revelations. I mean, it's not to the credit to this show is that we've had several episodes this season that have felt like big, like, paradigm shifts in terms of the status quo, in terms of the world and the mythology and what's going on. And of course, the finale did that again, and that's great. But this show is so good that it actually does it every little while. It doesn't wait for season finales to do this. So,
yep.
I guess what I'm saying is that the season finale isn't as special as other shows' seasons finales in the sense that there's shows in the middle of the season or episodes in the middle of the season that are actually already finale feeling anyway. So I guess I'm just trying to give the show some blanket praise here to start off. Why not start off in a good mood? Tara, did you enjoy the season finale, and are you... Well, actually, I'm going to ask the question I want to ask. There's a question that I specifically want to ask you.
Yes.
How do you feel about Poochie going back to his home planet?
Does he get his face melted in this?
He got that giant laser blast that the shadow ship like explodes ships with hit him in the face.
Yeah,
like that hit him in the face.
Because they say he's missing at the end, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure his face got melted.
Well, he's missing when they first hear, because they hear he's missing, and then that's before the footage, because the end of the episode is the footage that he recorded of the ship.
Yeah.
So they know they know he's dead by the time that footage comes, presumably. It's just that for a little gap in between, he's just missing.
Okay. Yeah. So long, Poochie. We barely knew you.
I definitely laughed. I laughed because we've been joking about this all season, and. Essentially, GMS gave him the purpose of like wanting to track down one of these ships. He got the footage, but getting that footage and like sending word back to the world and
cost him his life.
The civilization, cost him his life.
Although also triggering, like the Sheridan told him, "Hey, don't go looking for what you're looking for," because he knows not to let the shadows know that they're on to them.
Yes.
But now, like, Poochie, in his sacrifice to find the truth, has unfortunately brought the war now, I assume, when we get season 3 started.
We don't know the full effect, but yes, inadvertently this seems to actually go against the let's act like we don't know anything, because now the public are going to be aware that this alien race exists, and that kind of puts a bit of a wrench in the we'll pretend we don't know about them for now. Yes. So, yeah, Poochie might have inadvertently ruined all the good characters' plans. So, maybe that's a metaphor in and of itself, that the TV or the TV studio and network forced this character upon GMS, ruining his plans. So he's like, well, screw you. That's what this character represents. He represents...
And the poor actor forever has a stigma attached to him.
He was the shoehorned in character. So that gave me a chuckle. I have to give you credit, though, because you got something almost, you're just a smidge off, but almost exactly right.
But I don't think I talked about it on the show, because I think I just texted you about it.
No, you talk. I assume we're talking about this. Let me say what it is, but just in case you're talking about something different. But
okay.
The idea that everyone sees something different when they see Kosh. You said something to the effect of that everyone sees what they want to see, and that's why it's so special to them. The only reason why I say it's almost exactly right, because you're right in that different people see different things. That was made very clear in this, but it seems to be more like humans from Earth all see something that works in our mythology. So we see like a human angel. Whereas Jakar sees a Narn angel equivalent, and so on and so on. And notably, Minbari, or at the very least, not Minbari, sorry, Centauri, but at the very least, Londo does not see anything, which makes me think, wait, so did their civilization not get these visits? Did they not... Because that's the speculation afterwards, and what Delenn talks to Sheridan about is that they have been visiting us, which we knew from last episode. That's something they've been kind of teasing. But this idea that some of the mythology that all these different planets have, and the reason why there's all these links back to the Great War and the Shadows is because they've been intentionally prepping us for this. Like the Vorlons have been planting seeds so that eventually when we do see one, we have some kind of vague understanding. And Sheridan even questions, like, or is this manipulation? Like, do they want us to feel comfort? So they've planted all these seeds so that we take it more welcoming. And, you know, and Delenn says it's a matter of perspective, which, you know, it doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing, you know, if this is all about just easing it in the same way that in Star Trek, this idea, the idea in Next Gen about when they meet a planet that's going to enter the Federation and make first contact, that, you know, the idea that they sort of like, we'll go down and see if they're going to be accepting of this first. You know, it's, like, it's a little shady, but it's kind of like with the best of intentions. So it might be more like that kind of thing. So.
Sure. Yeah.
But yes, pat yourself on the back because you got that like 99% right.
Thank you. Yes. Well, there was the line of, you know, that he would be recognized by everybody, which I thought about afterwards, and went, I guess that would mean that he would have to appear as either something that is so common across worlds, which is impossible, or he'd have to appear differently to everybody.
Yeah.
Or it'd be something like so old from ancient mythology that maybe it's universal across all the races that we just don't know about. Like some sort of progenitor, maybe, of like all these humanoid-esque shaped aliens are all stem from him, like a Prometheus thing.
Hey, honestly, given how the fact that most of the aliens are humanoid, it wouldn't surprise me if there was some link between them all, like going far back enough. But, you know, we all evolved from a central thing, a central idea at some point. That wouldn't shock me if they went down that path. But anyway, the gist of this episode is... So one of the things that this show's been playing with recently is this idea of this war's been on between the Narn and the Centauri, and we've had Babylon 5 and Sheridan and Co. stuck in the middle. And I think what really impressed me about this episode is, you know, in your heart, your heart's sinking because this Narn ship, this one Narn warship that happened to be away when the siege happened, when the occupation and all that started, it beams into the other side of the planet so no one can see it, but hails Babylon 5 and says, hey, we seek sanctuary, we're kind of running low on fumes here, blah, blah, blah. And Sheridan, when he tells Jakar this, and Jakar's so happy that, like, they found this ship, and Sheridan promises to offer them help, and then, of course, even says, you know, no, turn off your engines, even though it'll take a long time to turn them back. Because as soon as he said that, I was like, oh no, this is going to come back and bite them, because he's telling them to, like, lower the defenses effectively. And you know it's going to end up bad. And because this guy who's come from Earth to, like, you know, quote unquote investigate, because they kept dodging exactly what the real intention was, it was very clear it was going to pivot the other direction. And the way he didn't want to talk to Jakar and everything else.
Well,
so because
Sheridan
of that,
kept referring to it as like they're here to investigate the Centauri problem, but the guy never actually calls it a Centauri problem. So
but
you're like, okay.
Because of all this though, it's all building up to, you know, it's going to swerve and it's going the other way, and it becomes this, no, Earth is going to ally themselves with Centauri, and it's like the worst possible news ever. And at this point you're like, oh god, Sheridan's going to have to break his promise, and it's going to be heartbreaking, and maybe Jakar won't, you know, will start to hate him for it. And I think what's so impressive about this episode is that what it did, if you weren't sold on Sheridan as a character up until this point, the fact that Sheridan keeps his promise anyway, even though politically it is absolutely the thing that he's not supposed to do in the situation.
Yeah, he takes a stand.
Yeah, he takes a stand. He takes a stance. He's yelled at for. There's a technicality that kind of puts him in the right to a point, because the treaty's not happened. You know, it's been announced yet. It's not active yet. But I love that he's like, no, we promised we'd defend them. Get the ships out there. Get all the defenses armed. They end up destroying this entire ship, which does fire first, which obviously is, you know, he let that fire first.
Yeah, fires on Babylon 5 on the station.
Yeah. I love it.
Which you would think would mess with the whole, like, we're trying to create a treaty with them.
Yes. But it's possible that the rest of Centauri don't know that yet either. You know?
I mean, it's possible. It looked like the station got hit pretty bad. It took out, like, one of the turrets or something. No.
I mean, I'm saying it's possible that the rest of Centauri don't know about the treaty that's upcoming.
Yeah, yeah.
The Centauri on the ship might not know that there's a...
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it should do that, but the guy who's representing Earth is like, well, hopefully this hasn't messed things up too much.
Yes. Which
on
it hasn't.
our part, because we still want to make a deal with them. And it's like, well, why would you still want to make a deal with the, Centauri that fired upon you? But obviously there's some other like dealings going on here, or other intentions.
Because they see Centauri are taking, because we learned at the start they're taking over more planets, they're taking outposts from other races, and Earth just wants to make an alliance so that they're off the table and that they're aligned with the other big power in the universe. So it's just really serious stuff, and you kind of know it's going that way. It feels, like everything the guy's saying about peace, the way he won't talk to, because your car's so excited about going to talk to him. He's like, oh, there's someone here to investigate the Centauri. This is great. And the guy just won't talk to us. Like, no, this is a political. No, I can't talk to you. I can't be seen talking to an Arn, like, especially the former ambassador. Like, I can't do that. And he runs away. He was no part of it.
Poor Shakar has to resort to sneaking into the bushes.
My heart sank when I saw him like popping his head out from behind that bush.
What are you doing back there? Come out and play.
This isn't even the height of it. We've reached heights of this like already that have been even higher than this. But I am still so impressed with how the Narn have become so sympathetic, and how Jakar's become such a sympathetic character that you're rooting for.
Well, I mean, like people that you're supposed to depend on, governments that you're supposed to depend on, keep kicking them while they're down. The whole point is to have some sort of balance of power, some checks and balances going on, and the Centauri have been getting away with genocide, and we've done nothing about it. And it seems like, what's the point of having an alliance if we don't, stand up for what's right here?
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning, I mean, there's not much to the scene itself, but I mean, I clearly got the implication that when something comes up, and perhaps it was even just straight up code, but Veer and Lanier seem to be exchanging information in a very sly, public way. I mean, all they really do is sit down and complain about their ambassadors, but it felt like they were speaking in code. It felt like, especially because the way they end the scene with all same time tomorrow, I'm like, you something happens there that we didn't understand. There was something exchanged.
I thought it was just like they both have the same job, and they're both frustrated with the knowledge that their bosses are keeping from them. And they had a moment that they can vent together.
Yeah, but
same time tomorrow, it's like a therapy session for them.
I mean, that works, but I feel like because we know how Veer feels, and because he feels guilty, I think Veer's going to be a very instrumental character for the Resistance going forward at some point.
Sure.
That would be my guess
see that.
On that. But I like that little scene. It was such a fun little scene with these two characters. Because this episode had most of the cast from the titles in it, although Natoth wasn't there. Natoth's not been there forever. But
Mary Kay Adams, like, I think she's been in one episode, but she's been in like the opening credits for the whole season.
It'll be a contractual thing, even if they let her go. It's like, nah, she has to get that credit.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I'm pretty sure we only saw her in like one, maybe two episodes.
A couple. I mean, I don't miss her because of that. Not because she was bad, but just because I haven't built an attachment to her in the same way of Lanier and Veer have.
I suppose she wasn't really given much of a chance, but also, does Shakar need an assistant right now?
Oh, right now, no. Right now, he's sneaking behind
bushes. She could be reassigned, yeah. Or dead.
And I love that he's got this sort of like friendship now with Sheridan and even like Ivanov, because Ivanov is the one that comes over and talks. So like, hey, you shouldn't be here, Zakar. He's like, I thought I could help. Some of these races still respect me. I could maybe speak in behalf of Sheridan, because he knows Sheridan's in trouble. He wants to help. This is the beautiful thing about this sneaking behind the bush. He's there to try and help Sheridan because he knows Sheridan's in shit for helping the Narn ship.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sweet, and it's like, I want to give Zakar a hug. He's so huggable now.
I know.
Which is such a drastic change from the start of the show.
Poor Zakar.
It just goes to show appearances can be deceiving, and the true dangers, because that's one of the things. There's a scene with Garibaldi, who doesn't have much in this episode, but he does have that one scene where he talks about his friendship with Londo. And he says that, sometimes he's completely different, and sometimes he wants to snap his neck because he's just a horrible bastard. But he also says that he recognizes that he's noticing that he looks like he's a trapped man. Like he's on the horse and he knows he can't get off now. And we've seen evidence of that too, of course. Because there's a great moment early in this episode where Londo comes to see Sheridan. Sheridan's asked to see him, and it's about what the other races have told Sheridan about him, about the Centauri taking outposts and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. And he demands to see Londo. Londo comes storming and he's furious. Why have you, summoned me? I've got things to do. Blah blah blah. And Sheridan says, "You're doing this. Where does this stop? Where does the line end? Get the map out. Point to me where this line ends. Where this show of presence or whatever you're calling it ends." And when he calls out in his bullshit, when Sheridan actually calls him out on what he's doing and sort of indicates what this is and how awful this is, Londo, like, there's a moment where he's like caught a gasp, and it's only a couple of seconds before he shifts into I don't need to be spoken to this way. I don't have to listen to this. He goes back into that mode, but there's a couple of seconds right before it where the reason why, because that's almost like a stock response to that when you can't argue with it. I don't have to listen to this. This is preposterous. I'll leave. It's just those little cracks that show that he knows that this is evil. He knows this is awful.
It's another reminder of why Morden chose to go after the Centauri also, and not anyone else. Like, even though the Narn had so much passion about getting revenge, that's all they wanted was revenge. He knows that the Centauri want power, which is easily corrupted.
I'd even go one little nudge further and say maybe even specifically Londo, as opposed to Centauri, but like Londo's attitude, the way Londo answered the question, and all that.
Well, that's thanks to this guy over here.
Yeah, Garrett Graham's
got him all riled up.
every character who dies from this point on is Garrett Graham's fault.
Sorry, Poochie.
Sorry, Poochie. So yeah, this standoff is great. Sheridan standing his ground. It's that, it goes back to that Superman / Picard / I'm going to stand my ground for what I believe is right, and do it. And it feels uplifting when you watch him do it, and it feels like, yes, this is a hero who's standing up for what he believes in against all the odds, and you root for him. And maybe one of the best scenes of this whole episode is when he's told he has to apologize to Londo in public, is the scene where he's in front of the mirror and he's practicing his apology, and he ends up like just letting out what he feels, to himself.
Right.
And it's this great scene of him just performing and just saying, "I'm sorry that I protected a station full of innocent people, including your own race. I'm sorry that you fired on it. I'm sorry that I didn't just destroy the ship sooner and take you out before you had a chance to even do it." And he just lets it all come out, and it's just a wonderful little scene that has weight because of like everything that's built up with them. They've done a great job. Like, if you weren't sold on Sheridan by now, I think by the time you get to the end of the season, they've got you.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Now, I will admit, the visual effects aren't amazing when we get what comes next, right? Let's be honest about it.
They try. It gets the point across.
It gets the point. I mean, as Sheridan says, as the other character who we'll get to in a minute, as he says, it's the thought that counts.
Right.
And indeed, it's the thought that counts in this following scene. I mean, I do love the idea that a couple of Centauri try to assassinate him. They, on the little the train tram thing, whatever they're calling it. Which we've not seen in a while, actually, because they don't tend to, because it's a big visual effect, they tend to stay away from it after they introduced it. But we get to see it here, and they leave a bomb on it, and Sheridan has to jump, and it plays with the physics a little bit because he's up in the he's basically weightless, but
the shuttle or whatever goes straight through the center of the station, so everything rotating around him, so he should be weightless when he jumps out of it.
Which is actually really smart when you think about it, because it means that shuttle is probably quite easy to run, like to push in terms of power. It probably doesn't take that much.
Right, yeah.
Because it's basically weightless at that point. Yeah, that's a neat little point, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But he jumps out, but he will still die if he, because he's going to like gain more momentum as he gets closer to the spinning floor.
Well, Ivanova says that the floor is spinning at 60 miles per hour or something, so
yeah,
either way it's like he's getting hit by ground going 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, so Delenn turns to Kosh and says, look, you know what's at stake. We've got the right person in the right place. Come on, this is the time. If you're going to do something, now's the time. And he opens up, we see the light come out, and sure enough, we see the reactions of everyone is, basically an angel to everyone, but with a different race of person for each person looking up. So we get a Narn version, we get a human version, and Barry version. Yeah.
Our ancient evil and ancient good races that are fighting a war are actually like just heaven and hell, angels and demons.
Well, kind of, but I like that it's not literal though. I like that the idea is that the reason why
it's a sci-fi way, so it's like, they're.
But I like the reason why we have that part of our mythology is because they put it there. Like the reason why we have this visual of an angel is because the Vorlons, in theory, put that there in the first place, which I like.
Sure. Doom Eternal does the same thing.
This came first, so suck it, Doom Eternal. Ed Software, you hacks.
Yeah, right. I'm sure there's some fans. I'm sure of Babylon 5 and id Software.
I'm sure there's people working on Babylon 5 in the mid-90s playing the original Doom on the crappy old PC. I'm sure there's... not I'm saying they took the idea from that, but I'm sure there's some fans going both directions. They seem like a marriage of nerds between the two, but yeah, but this is a big deal. We finally get to see the idea that he's willing to finally break this illusion and break the concealment to save Sheridan means that he believes in Sheridan, which makes sense.
Sheridan is important, needs to remain alive.
Absolutely, it makes sense given the last episode where the Inquisitor gave him the seal of approval and everything else, bringing him into the fold before that. So
I was not expecting the Kosh reveal.
No.
At all. The only thing I was expecting was a kiss, and I didn't get it.
Does that mean that?
What the hell? You've been building up for it all season.
That isn't as impressive as you like almost exactly nailing the Kosh thing, but
which again I don't know if I did on our reviews or if I just texted you because I was listening to the review afterward and was like, and thought about it. I had like a shower thought in the car.
Well, for anyone, if it wasn't on the show, and maybe it wasn't, maybe I'm misremembering it. If it wasn't, then know that Tara did say that to me, and I didn't tell her what it was, obviously, but when I watched the episode first, I sent her a message saying, you're like 99% right about something, and she immediately goes with, there was a kiss, and I'm like, and I never said this, but I'm going to ask you this now, what is 99% of that being right? Like, what's 99% of there being a kiss?
Something could have happened, something could have, like, they were going to do it, but then, like, the universe split between their lips.
Okay.
Who knows?
Interrupted. Okay. Like, what's 99% of a
kiss? The
kiss?
return of Ironheart came in and interrupted everything. Like, it was going to happen, but... So, yeah, I was right, but wrong.
Okay. I mean, saying I'm right because I said there might not be the kiss in the finale is a bit weak, but you know what? I'll take the pity point. I'll take the pity point.
I'm not giving that to you.
That hurts.
You said you didn't care if there was a kiss, not that there wouldn't be.
I feel like it's the thought that counts.
Yeah, right.
It's
not going to work here, bud.
Okay, can we talk about this discount Kel MacLachlan? Because
right? Oh my god, I kept thinking he must be related to him.
See, when they first walked on the station, because he comes on board with the other guy who's
doesn't have enough chin.
But see, that's the thing. He was standing behind the other guy, and I actually thought at first, is that Kel MacLachlan like behind him? And it wasn't until I stepped forward and searched because, oh no, it's definitely not. But he's definitely got a vibe. He's got a Kel MacLachlan vibe.
Totally.
Yeah. So he's like the guy who runs the Nightwatch, and we finally kind of like get into a lot of the stuff that is. He tries to recruit Ivanova, and Ivanova recognizes this for what it is
by bribing her.
Yeah. Give her own command.
I can get you a command and shave off 2 years of your, expected projection anyway.
Yeah, and she's like, no, this is dirty as shit. And, I had my suspicions about the Nightwatch, and you've just basically proven them. So get the hell out of my apartment is the gist of the conversation.
Yeah.
And, there's Zach, the guy who accepted the armband for the payday. he's actually at a meeting with all the other Night Watchmen, and not Kelly MacLachlan's like, hey, you've not been reporting things, Zach. And he's like, well, I've not really seen anything that's to be worried. And it's a really simple thing, because you know exactly what this is doing, you know, and how, but you know that this is going
Everybody else is reporting things.
Yeah. Well, but you know that when he's asked to say, hey, have you heard this shopkeeper complain about the unfair tariffs or whatever it was? And he's like, oh, man, yeah, he complained, but it's just someone mouthing off a little bit. It's just not a big deal. It's just clearly someone he knows, and it's not, it's, you know, he recognizes this with a bit of discretion that it's just someone whining. It's not a big deal. But you know you're going to get a scene at the end of the episode where this guy's not there anymore. Like, he's been taken, like, proper Gestapo style. Because that's what this is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a war on ideas. Like, he even says, you know, the other people have been reporting that these people said something against the president or whatever. And it's like, well, why is that not okay? Like, that's part of freedom, is that we can say things like that.
And it's one of his people who effectively leaked about the Narn ship, because no one knows about the Narn ship until you know, the woman who's on the bridge goes in and tells not Kelly MacLachlan about it.
Yeah.
So
is it CNC? Is that what they call their bridge?
CNC, yeah, CNC is what they call it. Or
Command and Conquer. I don't know what the
Command and
Control.
I believe it's Control. I believe it's Command and Control.
Control.
If I'm wrong, then people can tell me, but I think it's Command and Control. Okay. I think they also refer to it as the command deck on this as well. I've heard that. Okay. I'm not sure. So that also works. But CNC is good. Command and Conquer, red alert. But this stuff is obviously just sort of setting the mood for things to come. The idea this, because this is very interesting, because we end the episode, we hear from Ivanova's kind of closing narration, because it's the end of the year, we're getting into 2260 for season 3, and she says this is the start of all these things, and now Babylon 5 is kind of this, like, you know, this is not a place of peace anymore. This is now a place of resistance. It's a place of, you know, fighting back. But the official human stance now with the Centauri is that they're allies, and that they're not going to help the Narn and anything like that. So it's going to be very interesting seeing how Sheridan still goes out of his way to do that, because I believe he will.
Right, and maybe this underground railroad thing for Psychor is going to be able to help him out or something. I mean, they have lots of allies now.
Oh, you mean the Rangers?
Yeah, I guess it is the Rangers. But it started off with the Psychor underground stuff with Franklin. Was Franklin part of the Rangers?
Well, that wasn't Psychor. That was about the telepaths that were running away from Psychor.
Right.
So,
yeah. That's
so that was separate from the Rangers. But yeah, I know what you mean now. Yeah. So you've got, obviously, that's going to be a bigger thing that grows, you presume.
And Minbar hasn't signed any sort of agreements yet. I mean, we'll see. They are getting more militarized. So we'll see what happens if certain leaders are gone and new ones come to power.
That's one of those nuanced things actually that I really like, is that we see that, you know, Minbar are having kind of the same problem that Earth is, where there's certain, like, you know, groups that are starting to rise to power, because I feel like that actually reflects in the real world. You know, when you think about how sometimes you'll see a rise in certain politics at the same time in different countries, all kind of bubbling up together. Like, it does happen.
Or even if just some aggression rises and you feel like other countries feel like they need to match it. Which is unfortunate.
Yes.
I was trying to think. I had a point. That's all right. Keep talking.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a really solid finale. I think it's not a discredit to this episode when I say that I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in this season that have been even better, but it's not because this episode is not great. It's actually a really great episode that's probably is in the top like 5 or 6 of the season. But this season's had like some knockout episodes, and there's a lot of big stuff here at the end of the season. So I mean, the public are going to know about a race. They might not call them the Shadows yet, but they're going to know they exist in some form.
Yep.
We have this new status quo where Earth is officially aligned with Centauri. Sheridan's going to have to watch what he's doing so he doesn't get kicked out, because I mean, they threaten him, if you don't make this apology, we'll replace you with someone who's more suitable, who will go, you know, toe the company line, as it were. So that's something we're going to have to play with next season. It's him constantly being threatened by like being removed.
Right, which is a strange power move to make, because I mean, like Sheridan is super embarrassed about having to go do this because it's beneath him, since he did the right thing for the right reasons, but he has to do it to play politics. Yeah, and I understand it's the way that, you know, another Earth force is keeping power over Babylon 5 still, but I mean, for Sheridan, it's just humiliating.
Yeah.
Like, they're purposely trying to humiliate him.
Which, you know, works from a character perspective, makes him more motivated, and it also, just the dynamic of him being caught in the middle now and having to, like, play both sides to be good and try and be the best he can is a
I mean,
insurmountable challenge, basically. So
what is going to happen to Shakaar now that Centauri and Earth have this alliance?
It's a great question.
Is he still protected?
Maybe
I don't want a show without Shakaar, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't think that'll happen. I think Jakaar's here. Maybe he'll be more in secret. Maybe they'll have to hide them. Maybe it'll be more sneaking about. Maybe more behind bushy action. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but we do see other Narn. Like, there's a Narn at the bar sitting next to Londo, of all people, and is somehow okay with it, I guess.
Well, actually, let's talk about that scene a little bit. I think it's kind of interesting, Londo's kind of reaction to the fact that he didn't see anything. He seems very disillusioned when everyone else saw something they're very passionate about. Because these two aliens are sitting there, the Narn and the other guy. They're like, oh, I saw this, and it was this ray of light of hope. And then the other guy's, no, it was this figure from our mythology, and it was, you know. And then Londo's like, I didn't see anything.
Londo has no hope. Yeah.
It's really sad, and you kind of, and just kind of like what Garibaldi said, despite how much of a bastard he is, and despite how we're kind of against him now, there's a little moment here at the end of this scene where you go, that's a little sad. I kind of pity him.
You think he was hoping to see the goddess of fertility with the female and male genitalia?
With all 6 of them.
Yeah.
Or 8 of them, whatever the number was, I can't remember. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, credit on a fantastic second season, which I mean, I think it's fair to say it's better than season 1. I mean, I love a lot of things in season 1, but this has definitely been a more focused, much more big building. I mean, it would be nothing without season 1. You have to have all that set up. You have to have all those things that were introduced, but maybe not the boxing episode. That one could have been skipped probably, but
or the Grail episode. It was like right after it. Oof.
Yeah, that was like 1 or 2 after it.
What a great actor was in that one too.
Yeah, David Warner's such a good actor.
David Warner, yeah.
Do you know what? I think, I mean, I get the complaints with the episode, even though there's a couple of things I like in it. I do at least appreciate, though, the theme of like having religion brought up a few times in season 1 is important because of what the Vorlons have done to our mythology.
I did think about that episode, actually.
Just the idea that it's raised as an idea, just so that when this comes up, it's like, yeah, we're thinking about our own theology and how it's built over centuries and thousands of years and millennia, whatever. But I think that's maybe worth something that's intentionally been brought up as a subject, just so that it's there and on our minds a little bit. So I think that's you know, I at least appreciate that, even if the actual I have a staff and I'm looking for the Holy Grail is maybe a little on the silly side.
You don't think that that Londo didn't see Kosh because the Vorlons haven't had this history with where they've just totally skipped the Centauri, but rather because he's sided with the side of evil, so he can't see the good anymore.
He can't see the light. Yeah, it could be that. That could be the case. Maybe there's just nothing to see anymore. Well, good finale. I mean, it's funny because this conversation's probably a little bit shorter than some of the other episodes we've had this season, but I think it's just because
I don't know if you really skipped anything.
No, I think this just pays off things, or
except for the kiss. Unbelievable. They're gonna make me wait.
Their relationship is still there. It's still rocking.
Do I have to wait till the end of season 3 to get a kiss? Oh, God.
This show has proven it doesn't have to wait for season finales. It might be like episode 7. Okay?
Yeah, you're right.
It could be any time. Right?
Yeah.
We could be in Smooch City by episode 7.
True. They set up that like miracle saving device and used it like the very next episode. Maybe it was 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was a couple because it was like the start of the following season. And that definitely wasn't the finale of season 1. It was definitely at least 1 or 2 before the finale.
Yeah.
So
Things come back quickly though.
Yeah. but some things come back much, much later, which is actually really satisfying, because it's like, hey, remember this detail from a long time ago? I was actually wondering during the fighting if the planet was going to maybe intervene and like beam.
Well, they kept showing it, so yeah, I was thinking that too.
I was thinking a little bit, and I guess it's only one ship. Babylon 5 can handle one ship, although one of its you mentioned this earlier, but one of its pointy bits got blown off by the ship. I was like, oh, some actual damage.
Pointy bits. Yeah, that's
a technical term, pointy bit. That's what they call it.
Yep, can confirm.
Yeah. So yeah. No, it's a good episode, good finale. I am super pumped for what season 3 is going to be and everything that this leaves us off on. There's basically nothing to complain about, other than maybe, okay, the visual effect of Sheridan floating. Although I actually watched the scene again because I wanted to just sort of like look for the details, and it actually worked for me even better the second time. And I think it's because the first time it's so like the idea of the angel and the idea of the effect of him floating being a bit goofy, that when you watch it a second time knowing what it's going to look like, you just accept it for what it is and just enjoy the idea instead of, going, the visual effect's a bit iffy.
Well, I think that can translate to a lot of the show's special effects.
Yeah. I think I've gotten really used to the ships and the outside space stuff, though. I think I'm just used to that now. It just looks...
Yeah. I also think it does look better. I think they've improved it.
It does. So yeah. Rest in peace, Poochie.
Is he really gone? Gone?
He has to be dead. He got hit in the face with that giant blast that usually destroys whole ships.
It did look like his face was melting.
I mean, we end the episode on this footage airing on the news, and it goes to static as soon as it hits him.
Yeah.
It does the almost a found footage style ending, and it's like, yeah, here we go.
Well.
So.
I mean, I'm sure Garibaldi and Ivanova will never talk about him again.
Maybe they'll mention it. Because there is actually,
even though he was their best friend in the first episode, there
is a C plot actually building up to it where he because he hears that some other pilots have seen, because one of the things we actually didn't mention was that Sheridan's got all the pilots training, and because he wants them to be at their best, he's expecting combat.
Yeah, they're doing combat maneuvers to fight against Centauri.
Yeah, specifically, ships. Yeah. Which is one of the things, because before he knows about the actual danger that's going on, the actual Narn ship that's hiding on the other side of the planet, the guy who's come up to investigate everything is like, you've been using basically the equivalent of like training on Earth, using cutouts of Centauri. That's basically what he's complaining about, but in a more of a hologram style fighter thing.
Yeah,
he's like, you've been using Centauri. Stop that right now. That's politically very, very sensitive.
Right. Yeah, there was no point in this episode when that guy showed up that I thought, oh, he's gonna side with the Narn.
Yeah, never. He was clearly going in one direction, and it's not so much that he even hates the Narn. It's just purely that he's like, no, we're going to secure Earth's future by siding with the awful people and siding with the side with the power.
Yeah, pretty much. Plus, he kind of gave off that kind of energy when he showed up, like, ooh, this guy's evil. Although maybe not evil, but
yeah,
he's not a good
not
guy.
Kyle MacLachlan came across as way more slimy and evil to me. I think.
Yeah, totally.
He was totally just, yeah. What was his name? Because we can't just call him that every time, because I'm sure he's going to pop up again.
Wells? Was it Wells?
Yeah, Mr. Wells, who has played a Klingon in something, because these photos of a Klingon.
Nice.
Although, speaking of actors under makeup, I assume it was the Narn who was on the ship that talks to them. Mm-hmm. But that was Robin Sachs, who plays Ethan Rayne on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And
Savak, what's his name?
He's been in Trek too. Yeah, sure.
No. He's Galaxy Quest. He's the villain in Galaxy Quest. I can't remember his name.
Oh, I didn't know.
The lizard looking guy.
I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that was Robin Sachs. That's cool. Maybe I did. Yeah, maybe I forgot it, but that's cool.
I want to say that he's popped up before on this show.
I think he may have popped up as a human, because I think they've done that with a couple of actors now, I think, where they've played different races, because, I mean, they can, why not? You can't tell.
Yeah.
Maybe if they popped up as a Minbari, it'd be a bit more obvious, but, because you can still see their face. But, I mean, if someone's a human then becomes a Narn, you can't tell. They look different.
So we lost Poochie, we lost Talia, and Shakar lost his pride and status. So lots of losses.
Lots of loss. I suspect there'll be a lot more loss before we're done.
Yeah.
A lot more.
But we'll gain a wife. because she's coming back.
Nah, Sheridan's wife's dead. She's dead. Nah.
We'll see.
I'm positive. I'm positive. Also, I just checked. Robin Sachs was in an episode of Voyager, so he has done some Trek.
All right. Checks out. I mean, most of these actors have been in Star Trek at some point.
General Valen. What species is that, do you think?
Valen?
General Valen.
I don't know.
There's not really any photos for the episode, so I can't even...
Andorian, maybe?
I don't know. I bet he's an alien, though. I bet he's not a human. I bet he's played at least one of the alien races.
Valen? Yeah.
General Valen.
But you have to be something part of the Federation.
Sure.
If he's a general.
But
maybe.
yeah.
I mean, maybe a Vulcan. Or, yeah.
But
Well,
anyway.
I guess, Romulans can have generals.
Anyway, wrap up this thought. Wrap up the show. We're done.
Sorry, I'm a little sleepy.
This is the finale of season 2 of Babylon 5. And it was very, very good. And I am super excited about season 3 and cannot wait. So, yes. Obviously, because we put up one early for Patreon, we tend to be... Like, the last one's not went public yet when we record these. It's the one before last.
Mm-hmm.
And the one before last was a very big episode. It was the end of the war. And, we there's like almost 60 comments on that damn thing, which is like the most comments we've had on an episode. So we love your passion.
Wow.
Keep on, chatting away. All very respectable it's respectable, but what I meant to say was respectful. So yes, thank you kindly. Thank you for supporting the show and reviewing the series. And far too many
Stick with us.
Far too many people in those comments were like, Lex might be an interesting one to talk. No, don't say Lex is the show we should do next. No. Yeah, but it was all very like, there's no fan base, no one's going to care, but it would be interesting.
Hey, I mean, Malcolm McDowell was in that show, I think, for a few episodes or something.
Yeah, well, Malcolm McDowell.
I remember the commercials on the Sci-Fi Channel going, "Ew, it's like Star Trek but dirty."
Malcolm McDowell was also in the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. He is dead to me. I don't give a crap about Malcolm McDowell. He is dead to me, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's not dead.
He's also in a fairly mediocre Star Trek movie. So,
how dare you? I like that movie. Although he is one of the most hated characters, like in the Star Trek universe, because of what he does to Kirk. But
yes,
I still like that film.
He gave him a foot massage.
Never give another man's captain a foot massage.
I know. It's a bit overreaction, of course, what Marcellus Wallace did, but it's essential experience. You don't just do it.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, Quentin, calm down.
Do you know what? It's only just dawned on me like how much people joke about his foot fetish, and now I think about that scene from Pulp Fiction, and I'm like, you know what? That scene was a sign. That scene was a warning.
Red flag.
For the rest of his work, that there's going to be a lot of weird foot stuff. And by weird foot stuff, all I really mean is, hey, actress, take your shoe off and stick your foot in the camera.
He's just trolling the audience now.
Probably. He knows the reputation he has. Anyway, that's been the Babylon 5 Season 2 finale. Thank you very much for joining us. I will let Tara tell you all about Patreon.
Yeah, if you enjoy our reviews, please check out the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildfuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you'll get bonus episodes for other shows we do. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get access to our reviews early. Babylon 5, you get 1 week early. You get Twilight Zone a week early, Star Trek a week early. And some other shows you get a day early. So might be worth checking out. Thank you.
And Tara's also losing her voice apparently because
a little bit.
It was struggling as you were
I
going on
tired.
there.
It's really hot here, so I'm like dying.
Hey, no judgments. You can, of course, also, for completely free, you can hit the like button, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Those are all really important on YouTube. It's how YouTube channels grow. So please, if you do like the content, if you've enjoyed the discussion, please do hit those buttons. You can
keep
also,
the discussion going.
Yes, keep the discussion going. You can also
like
keep
the comments.
The Twitter in mind, @mailed_fuzz for channel updates. So go and have a look at that as well. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We'll see you next week for Season 3.
Whoa.
Keep watching Babylon 5. Just Don't give away the home world.